The Black Writers Workspace and Direct 2 author welcome you to the 2024 Chapter 1 Writing Competition Meet the Winners interview series. We hope you will enjoy learning from these dynamic writers and continue to support them throughout their writing and publishing journey. During this series, you will meet the top winners in the fiction, nonfiction, and poetry categories. You will also hear from Ardane Isma, CEO of Village Care Publishing, as he announces the 4 Chapter 1 writers selected to submit a full manuscript in consideration for a traditionally published opportunity with Village Care. The interview series is hosted by author and founder of the Black Writers Workspace, Michelle D. Jackson. For information on the next competition, please follow us at Black Writers Workspace on Facebook and Instagram.
We have Lillian Winter James, and she is here. She is the winner of our, what is this, nonfiction category. Really excited to have you. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your work.
This is also exciting to me. I am a bit of a ambivert in that when I'm out, and when I'm in, I am really in. So I kind of live this dual personality life all the time, that I send out my representative all the time, but the real me is actually somewhere either reading or writing. So I do, like yourself, I grew up with all the economic and social challenges that often come with, blah, 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 born Black, trials, tribulations, what have you. And reading was an escapism. And also, I just have always had these voices in my head that with these great imaginations, these great stories, and they had to come out. And so I would journal, I would write, I would do any and everything to kind of get those voices out of my head and onto paper so I can function like a normal person in normal society. And those voices kind of manifested themselves into more tangible, legible things that I could, produce and maybe one day share with others. That's been the hardest part of my journey, because I will write. I have written so much, but sharing what I write is very, very difficult for me. So this, I cannot begin to tell you how exciting this is for me to have something I've written validated like this. It means everything.
And that's what we wanted to do with the Chapter 1 writing competition. I want to be completely honest with you. Everything is about that validation. I know how hard it is to write something or get the nerve to even write and publish. My first book, I wrote my book, and I promise you, I sat on it for months because I was afraid to get it published for fear that it wasn't going to be good enough. Nobody's going to read it. I self-published it. Are people going to really take that serious? I had a lot of questions, a lot of things that I was concerned with. And so I understand that hurdle that you have to overcome, the confidence piece, to get to a place where you can actually put the work out there. So your book, Pilgrimage from Working. Talk to us about that. What is it about?
Okay, this started so very long ago, and it's just been something I have just worked on throughout, and had I really completed about 80% of it to turn it into a book. And it started, I was inspired by the fact when I was in my early 20s, struggling, trying to make it in this world, I rode the bus like, any other person. And again, there are things that go on in my head that has nothing to do with real life. And one of those things is that I actually glamorized and made, riding the bus be like, some fun, great thing to do. And in the South, it is not. It is a huge challenge of mammoth proportions. It really is. I mean, you just never know. So I had gone to New York a few times. My best friend lives there, and I just loved how they moved around the city. And so I would come back and imagine that I was able to move around this humongous city that really doesn't put public transportation as a priority, and made the best of it. And just my own imagination working overdrive with some of the characters that would get on the bus, some of the people I would see, and, just kind of letting my imagination run free. And this is what manifested as a result.
What was so great is that the reviewers were like, this is fiction. Like, this isn't a nonfiction book. And that speaks, when you just described it, I get it now. This is you using your imagination. And that is so beautiful about writers. Like, I always tell people we're a touch special because we can literally weave a descriptive story into any experience. And that's what good writers do. So yes. I absolutely love that you were taking the bus, and this is how you came about to tell this story, and romanticizing public bus riding. I'm from Alabama, so I know Fairfield is how I got to work every day, and I can tell you, it is nothing beautiful about it.
It is not.
So that is wonderful. Tell me, and since I know now what inspired the book, what are your next steps? What is this published or self-published or what's the next step for you?
This is the biggest step I have taken. Well, I have to take that back. I got a master's. I have two masters, but one was in writing because I felt like maybe that would give me a little bit more confidence in being able to write and share my work with others. So I shared it during that journey. And that kind of gave me a lot of feedback to work on it and to kind of refine it, because I've always written for myself. So it's really hard to try to write and entertain others, because most of me don't care what others think about it. I care most about just getting those voices out of my head, getting it on paper, and then I read it and I'm like, oh, I like this. But I don't have the confidence in myself that others may like it, especially with as much reading as I've done. I'm currently reading The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And this is such a great book, so well written, that I feel like just burning everything I've ever written in my life. But I mean, that's just kind of my struggle, all the time. It's like constantly, oh, no one's going to like this, or nobody wants to read this, or nobody, cares. And so when I read the feedback, I was just in shock because, one, they get it, and two, that they were so receptive of it. I mean, that just meant everything in the world to me. So what's next is probably trying to, I'm applying for my PhD. So that's number one. And then I have this very loud voice that I've been working on another, non-fictional piece that has just consumed me. And I'm very hopeful to get that out and to finish this up, which I kind of do both simultaneously. I'm just constantly writing. I'll work on this a minute, I'll work on that a minute, I'll work on whatever. So I am just always writing. And to relax, I read.
I love your passion. I love everything that you've said. First of all, we all go through that period where we're really concerned that our work isn't good enough. I've been there. I've had to. I tell people I wrote my first book. I sent it off to a vanity publisher. They emailed me and said the book is ready to be published. All we need you to do is to tell us to publish it. And then I lost all my confidence and I sat on it for 6 months. And I was watching some pastor on TV, literally was watching one of the pastors on TV. And he started talking about his wife had wanted to write children's books and how his son, his 9-year-old, was saying, "Mom, why don't you do it? You should do this." And she was giving him all these reasons not to do it. And the 9-year-old is saying to the mother, "But you said you always want to do this, and you teach us to move, to go hard on the things that we're doing, but you're not doing it." And I promise you, I literally snapped out of my own fear and called immediately and said, "Publish the book."
Mhm.
Because it was just my fear that was stopping me from doing something.
It
So
is.
your voice is unique. Every writer writes their way. I said the same thing. I don't write like Alice Walker. I don't write like Maya Angelou. I don't write. Who's
Exactly.
going to care about Michelle's voice?
Mhm.
But readers care, and they want to hear us, and they want to hear all these different, unique takes on things. And and I hope that the Chapter One writing competition is something that helps you to get that confidence to move forward, because that's why we're doing it, so that you can get and me too. I'm writing a book right now, and I'm like, it's a contemporary romance, and I'm like, am I ready for this? And it was my 18-year-old son who says, "All you do is watch love stories." I'm shocked you haven't written a love story. And so, once again, a child teaching us that we
Mhm.
need to move forward. So, congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
it's so great to meet you. So great to see you score so well. Love love the feedback, and
Mhm.
hoping to continue to work with you. So
Thank you.
give
I
our readers a couple of words of encouragement. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
No, I wanted to add to what you were saying. I can recall in my early 20s, and this is during times when we didn't have the amount of selection of Black writers that we have now. And so I searched for books written by Black authors about Black life, like I was searching for gold, because they, of course, we had the plethoras of the successful artists, but it was the little known artists that gave me the most inspiration, that I found very entertaining, that their books became like, okay, this book has been read so many times that it's about to fall apart. So I kind of understand the need for us, and how we can inspire others to get there. But again, there's this one person out there working this person who seems like they're just all totally together, and then there's this other person who sits inside and cowers in the corner and writes all these different things, and then that's it. But I'm sort of lucky because my best friend is a visual artist, and her journey, her struggle, she's always shared with me and encouraged me to put myself out there. And then there's, like yourself, who also adds to that encouragement. And it is so appreciative. It really is. And I do appreciate your story about being right there on the threshold, and then, because that's kind of how I feel too. So
It's a very scary thing, but when you do it, writing that book opened so many doors for me. It allowed people to see me differently. Now the story itself, I got a lot of, "Who is this about?" People thought that it was real. I'm like, it's fiction, everybody. It's
exactly.
fiction. But it was one of the best things I ever did in my entire life. And I hope that you will never let anyone stop you from moving forward, and looking forward to reading your book. So text me when it's done. I'm
Okay.
ready for it. I'm ready for
Thank
it.
you.
Very nice to meet you. We're going to
You
move